Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Dave Zanino has finally reached the wonder years. He wonders where he parked his pickup. He wonders where he left his phone. He wonders where his sunglasses are. And he wonders what day it is. Well, we'll tell him. It's his birthday. Old goat Dave Zanino. Dave Zanino, very good friend. Thank you. Hey, God bless you, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith. And God bless America. There you go. Good morning. And then a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Hello, Mr. Zanino. Oh, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and a big spring tire sale going on right now, too. And some of our great advertisers, including Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. Right now, on this Thursday, March 26th, we say good morning to our pledger. Good morning, and enter and sign in, please.
Nobody has called in.
Oh, yes, they did. You did. You said you couldn't wait to do the pledge. Go ahead.
You know me so well. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ah, boy, Wheels, way to go, buddy. I appreciate it. Hey, right now, it is time for the weather. I got a sneaky feeling it's going to be nice outside, but I don't want to supersede what Michael tells us. And Cheney Flooring and Home Design is sponsoring our weather at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. That's right, 678-6945. Now, don't forget, ladies, they're going to be having another girls' night out on Friday night, April 3rd. Plan on it. They've got all your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, everything for your home. Don't forget they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and Saturdays from 10 to 4, 678-6945. Look for the blue door at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Morning, Zeb Bill. You know what? I forgot to tell you, and I don't know if you watch TV or not, but I never told you about my job that I do down here in Las Vegas. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
You're looking at the photographer for Gordon Ramsay at his restaurant at Caesar's Palace.
Oh.
How about that?
Hey. That sounds like a winner.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm going to get this in before I do the weather. If you come to Vegas and you come to Caesar's Palace, you're going to see me taking pictures. I suggest wholeheartedly the shepherd's pie for the meal down here because it is out of this world. And the price is reasonable.
Okay.
Read my lips. The price is reasonable. So come on down, get some shepherd's pie. Let me take a picture of you, and then you can go gamble and do everything you want to do. Other than that, Zeb pretty much described your weekend. It's going to be pretty nice all the way across the board. Or as David Letterman said when he used to do the weather before he got big and famous, there's only so many ways you can describe a cold front. There's only so many ways you can describe sunny and nice. Now, the beauty of your weather going through the weekend is that you're going to be hitting the 70s, hopefully by tomorrow, Saturday, going into Sunday, but a lot of sun, very little clouds, all the way through the weekend until Monday morning, too. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Oh, there he is, the Shepherd's Pie King. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, sponsoring our weather forecast with Michael Rogers Weather. Look for the blue door. Give him a call, 678-6945. Oh, my, we've got a lot of things to do, and right now, I think I hear Merv May. Come on in and sell some cattle, Merv.
All right, he gets the steer calves there, here to get $1.31, 1.31, 1.32, 2.5.
That's the chant of the world's best auctioneer, and I mean that, over at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. You better believe it. Sale day is today at 10 a.m., and don't forget, for information on the sale, call this number, 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard at 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy. The sale that works for you, and sale time again this morning at 10 a.m. Here's just a partial list of some of the cattle that'll be there. Bruce and Jared Bedke. Hello, Bedkes. How are you doing up there in Oakley? They're bringing in 70 head of ripping good 400 to 600 pound calves. Jim Ritter over at Shoshone. Hey, right across the big railroad tracks, 15 head of yearlings coming in. Kelly Kunzler of Park Valley, 40 head of 400 to 500 pounders, and those are going to be good cattle. Spencer Kunzler, also of Park Valley, bringing in 40 head of 400 to 500 pounders. And we're going to have butcher cows coming in from East Ridge Dairy, South Ridge Dairy, and TLK Dairy. 10 a.m. sale time, along with a good trailer line run at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, he gets the steer calves there, here to get $1.31, 1.31, 1.32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 135, 50, 135, sell him $1.35. Zeb Bell, get the bottom again.
Oh, my. Good morning. We've got a lot of things to talk about this morning. A little bit later on this morning, we're going to have George Mass call, and he's going to be talking about that bill 1155 passed through the Senate yesterday, now goes to the House, I believe, on Monday for the Idaho Roll Call Memorial, and they need your calls to stand up for it and say, yes, we want to see the Idaho Roll Call Memorial in Rupert with the flag at half-staff honoring our tribute to all the fallen soldiers and comrades of Idaho. And the number to call, 332-1000, 332-1000, and tell them, yes, your support. Don't forget, too, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. My goodness sakes, they're busy at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Now, they open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, and they close the doors at 5 o'clock. So now that gives you a whole bunch of time to get on in there and get all your light bulbs and your fluorescent lights and your ballast and your repair parts, your wire, fuses, cords, anything you need. I'm telling you, these folks are so good, and they're so nice. I love the personality of everybody over there. They're really there to serve you at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Give them a call if you want your order waiting for you, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric on Overland and Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Okay, I don't even know. Some of the news stories this morning are just absolutely mind-boggling. At a news conference this morning at 5:45 a.m., it was absolutely electrifying as to some of the results and findings that they found in the black box recorder for the Lufthansa flight from Spain to Germany. And it just set me back in my chair. It appears now, and I'm going to give a very rough overview of what's happened on this flight. It appears now, and some of the news conferences are going on right now from Lufthansa, the pilot had left the cockpit and left the flight in charge of the co-pilot. And the pilot had gone back to use the restroom. And we're going to be very blunt about everything that took place in this timeline. And upon returning to the cockpit, the door was locked and he could not get back in. Now, the voice recorder, the cockpit voice recorder, has recorded the hearing of the breathing of the co-pilot and also the beating on the door of the pilot and eventually screams, terror screams from the people on the flight, the passengers, because at that juncture they knew they were going down. And as the minutes went by, of course, you could hear on the tape, according to the news conference, the beating on the door, the pounding, and the trying to get the door open, to no avail. And that's basically the end of that flight. Now, I listened just moments ago. I stepped out into the other room to catch a little bit more of this news conference. And you probably will not hear anybody else ask this question, but I do have I think, a very good question. And it's not being addressed. And I'm going to be calling some of my friends at Fox News right after I get off this program in New York City, and I'm going to ask them this question. If maybe this was a premeditated suicide/murder attempt of all the passengers and a suicide attempt by the co-pilot, how did he know to plan for taking over the cockpit? How did he know that pilot, the head chief pilot, was going to get up and leave and go to the restroom? Was this a happenstance, just spur-of-the-moment decision to lock the door and take the plane down to the ground when the pilot got up to use the restroom? How did this co-pilot know, unless he had flown with this pilot many, many times, that the pilot was going to be leaving the cockpit at a certain time and going back? How did he know? And if he didn't know, was that just a spur-of-the-moment decision to kill 150 people? It's just, the enormity and the gravity of the situation is just absolutely mind-blowing. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've been telling you yesterday at Valley Wide Home and Ranch that if you have a membership card to a rodeo association or a cutting horse association, listen to me. Go into Valley Wide, show them your card, and you can get 10% off on your tack. Your ropes, your tack, everything, okay? Don't forget that. Now, hey, you might be a high school rodeo member, collegiate rodeo member, maybe a member of the IMPRA, or maybe a member of the PRCA, or maybe a cutting horse member of the NCHA. Hey, 10% saves some money, boys and girls. You better get on in there when you're buying your tack and your ropes and everything at Valley Wine Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And don't forget, too, they've got all the Purina feeds, the Purina Start and Grow, and they got the Purina Flock Raiser for all your chickens. Oh, and they got all the fishing equipment, too. Holy cow, they've got everything at Valley Wine Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean and Mandy, the whole crew serving you at Valley Wide Home and Ranch. Really good folks. Oh, and by the way, if you get hungry, and boy, am I on this self-imposed diet, I could gnaw tooth marks into this microphone. Stop over to Denny's restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, these are good people. And you check it out today at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, too. They got 2 locations. Oh, by the way, Deanne, please come in here if you get a chance. Denny's restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And, oh, my goodness, breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. Always waiting to serve you. You stop in and see them today. And don't forget, once a month, we're over there for Zeb's Lunch Punch at Denny's Restaurant in Burley, 611 Overland. And also the new location at 291, 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. And the open house is next week. You get me that information so we can start those today? Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another story that is close to home, very close to home, Bo Bergdahl. I, again, was shocked. Some of the people that I had talked to back in New York City and some of the people that I had visited with in Washington, they had said that, they were very concerned that the pressure that was being put on by the White House in this administration might influence the report on Bo Bergdahl and might influence whether any charges came about, might influence the severity of what he did or didn't do. Well, I'm sorry, in some respects, that I was right all along about Bo Bergdahl. I'm sorry that some of the sources that I talked to in Washington and New York were right for a long time. And it looks like Bo Bergdahl is going to be charged with desertion, and probably and possibly, again, we'll use those words, probably and possibly, when the trial is started and all the material has been submitted, it might even come out and the alleged thought that he is a traitor to the United States of America. These are some really heavy charges. Being a deserter is bad enough, but allegedly and possibly becoming a traitor to your country is absolutely pathetic. And he could stand a finalization of the trial of being committed to a life in prison. And according to some that we're talking about it this morning, and we're going to later on this morning talk to Rich Noyes back in New York City in regards to this case, possibly even the death penalty. What are your thoughts? It wasn't even funny or even laughable, some of the comments I got as far as emails and calls and everything else when I came out months and months and months ago and said that there was some really shady things happening with Bergdahl, and all people, how do you know this? And you're just trying to criticize him and all this kind of thing. Well, the Army stood up under pressure from this administration, and they did the right thing. They did the right thing because Bergdahl did walk away from his unit in 2009. And there's another point to discuss here this morning, and I want you to call and tell me your thoughts on this. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people don't want their neighbors hearing their voice. Well, the ones that are courageous are the ones that call into this program, and I appreciate them. There is estimated that as many as 14 soldiers may have given their lives in search of Bo Bergdahl. And that really is sorrowful. And the thing that is absolutely horrendous, and it's just criminal, is that Obama utilized the Bergdahl situation, I feel, this is my opinion, and I'll stand behind it, I think he utilized the Bergdahl situation to push and promote his goals of closing down Guantanamo Bay, Gitmo, and thus entered the fracas with the giving of 5 really bad guys, killer terrorists, in exchange for Bo Bergdahl, to show his contempt for Guantanamo Bay. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Barry Equipment and Rental. Boy, they're busy. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Barry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, they've got a great, big, huge selection of new and used Bobcats, skid steers, excavators, and utility vehicles. 0% financing available on approved credit. They got all the Coyote tractors and Walker mowers. Hey, it's springtime. It's cleanup time. You can get a hold of Eli in Twin Falls, or you can call our old buddy Nick right there at the Burley location. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. They've got all the equipment to get the job done for you. Real quick also, I want to remind you about Lennox. And Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 and find out more about Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb Bell.
Yes, sir.
And how are you this morning?
I am great. What can I do for you, sir?
Well, sir, I tell you what, they keep showing that Bergdahl in a dress uniform standing in front of the American flag, and that totally turns my stomach.
You know, you really bring up a good point. That was used again this morning on some of the other cable networks like CNN and some of the others. And quite frankly, it's really been a rub, an itch, and a scratch for a lot of veterans that I've talked to, because they do use that with him standing there with his beret and his uniform in front of the American flag. I agree with you. It's very offensive.
Yes, sir. I spent my time in the military, and to see something like that on that person after what he has done, even though he hasn't been convicted, he's still, in my book, he's guilty. He should not be being shown in that uniform.
Let me ask you.
There at a table eating, maybe in his prison clothes, yes. But not in uniform.
Let me ask you a quick question here. With Bergdahl and the charges, and hold your microphone really still there, sir. We're getting a lot of wind or something in your microphone. Hold it real steady. Don't move your mic. And the thing with Bergdahl is we're getting a lot of reports from the Army and what they found as investigations to call him a traitor, or pardon me, call him a deserter, and possibly even a traitor. They wouldn't have made those charges if there wasn't enough room to go to court.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Well, there's so many witnesses against him. If he don't go to court, there's got to be something wrong somewhere.
I agree with you, and I do thank you for your call, and have a great day today, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet, Zeb. You have a great day, too.
All right, sir. Thank you. One of the things that really bothers me, and I'm going to get this out right now, and no sense holding it. My like and dislike for President Obama is well-founded and well-known. I don't like the man, I don't trust the man, and I don't think his administration is honorable. In this country, we have the right of free speech, and we have the right of free thought. And I absolutely have given a lot of thought to this administration and what they have done, what they haven't done, and what they have espoused as backing and promoting to the American public. Here we have in Iran, we have Dr. Levinson that has been captured and held by Iran for, I believe now, over 5 years? And then we also have from Boise, Pastor Abedini, that has been tortured and put in prison for doing nothing more than trying to build an orphanage. These are very stalwart, very, very good people that have tried to help the world. And they were imprisoned by Iran, and nobody's making a get-go to go get them out. But yet, this administration will trade 5 really terrible bad guys from Gitmo for a deserter. You go figure. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I guess as I listen to the mainstream media this morning, all you hear is trying to justify why he did it, and it was such a tough time for him while he was in prison. I was even really disappointed. One of our state legislators commented that he had served in prison, so he shouldn't go to prison. I can tell you 50 years ago when I was in the service, there was no misunderstanding what would happen to you if you deserted.
Absolutely. This concept of saying, well, he served as a prisoner and he came back to the States regardless of the circumstances, he served enough, let's let him go, that is absolutely erroneous, it's hideous, it's anti-American, and I think this young man, if the alleged charges are proved true in a court of law on desertion and maybe even worse, being a traitor, if it's desertion, life in prison. If he's a traitor to our country, a firing squad.
Well, that's what we always look forward to, is a firing squad if we walked away. And I can tell you that we I thought about it twice. I guess I get a little uptight because it was his desire to go in the Army. And then he got in and found out it wasn't what he wanted, and so that's what he does. Well, if that's what you do, that's what you live with. You made that choice.
Absolutely. Sir, God bless you. I got to get a break in at the bottom of the hour. The very best to you and your wife. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much. I've got to get my break in at the bottom of the hour. I'm almost a little bit late, and Old Wheels is chomping on the bit. We've got to tell everybody about Mount Harrison Audiology. I went in for the screening test yesterday, the hearing test, and this lady, Christine Pickup, is absolutely the most professional. She knows. I can sit here and just go on and on about her accolades. She knows all about hearing. I learned so much about my hearing and maybe a little bit of degenerative accolades that are going on in my hearing to the point where I'd better take care of it. And she is so sharp. I really want you to take the time, and I'm saying this purely from my concern to you, to take the time, and if you have any hearing loss or you think you might have a hearing loss, stop in and see Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Easy to find. Call for an appointment today. I stress that. She really can help you and your hearing. 312-0957. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute, and caller, I'll be right back.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Inspired by the popular USDA organic label, House Republicans are proposing a new government certification for foods free of genetically modified ingredients. The idea is part of an attempt to block mandatory labeling of foods that include genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. The certification will be voluntary, says Republican Mike Pompeo, Republican Kansas, who introduced legislation Wednesday incorporating the idea. Pompeo says a government-certified label would allow companies that want to advertise their foods as GMO-free to do so, but it would not be mandatory for others. The food industry, which backs Pompeo's bill, has strongly opposed individual state efforts to require labeling, saying labels would be misleading because GMOs are safe. The bill would also override any state laws that require the labeling.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and Capital Press.
I'll tell you what, hearing loss is the third most common health condition, just behind arthritis and heart disease, and I stress that you get a hold of Christine Pickup today, Doctor of Audiology. This lady really knows her business, and she's very concerned about your hearing. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the emergency room of the Minidoka Hospital. Number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. I was very impressed. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. As you know, I'm running a little bit behind, and so I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay with me just a second. I want to remind everybody about Streamline Precision. Boy, they can build anything and build it right. 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, you just give them a call. Call Tim. He's waiting by the landline right now, or the cell phone, 431-7314. That number again is 431-7314. And get estimates on what you need built on your property. They're putting up a lot of grain bins for on-the-farm storage right now, and they're authorized dealers in Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings, and a lot of cement work with the mangers and the feed alleys and the trenching for the pipelines, and they're currently building the brand new Funk Dairy over here in Murtaugh. Yes, sirree. They have vast experience in industrial development that includes the dairies and the feedlots, food processing. They can build whatever you need built right. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Again, that number, 431-7314. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, he turned them guys loose just so they could get back into the operation over there. And Bugdall was used as the tool. And sure, he deserves a firing squad. Definitely.
You know, there's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people, Fred, that are in total agreement with you, and I'm one of them. That this man deserted his post. He sent back his personal effects back home, left all of his other effects right there on his army cot, walked away, and there are reports that he was asking questions about how to get a hold of the Taliban and everything else. And there are even reports that allegedly he provided information to the enemy. If that is true, along with the desertion charges, being a traitor, there's no question in my mind he should face a firing squad.
Absolutely. And he's not the only traitor we got.
Well, that's true, too. And by the way, to you and your lovely wife, tomorrow, a big day, your anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thanks for your call, Fred. Take care. Thank you. One of the nicest people, two of the nicest people, Fred and Joyce Preston. Thank you very much. Anniversary tomorrow. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What about, think about this, Pastor Abedini and Dr. Levinson. What about them? Obama went to Boise, sat down with Naghmeh Abedini. She's been on our program. That's Pastor Abedini's wife. The little boy begged the president, please get my daddy home. Did the White House and Obama just give lip service for the occasion, just the speech, and then gets on Air Force One and, well, there goes Boise. Flyover country. Did he forget about saying to Naghmeh that we will try to bring your husband home? Why are they there? Think about this just for a minute. We have, I find him to be a despicable American, John Kerry. That man and his past track record and his thoughts and everything while he was in Vietnam as in representing our military, and then coming home and speaking before a Senate hearing and condemning our military and other soldiers that were with him. And now he's Secretary of State. It just sickens me. And where's the negotiation with Iran to say, okay, before we do anything this morning, before we have another cup of coffee, we want to have these two gentlemen, Pastor Abedini and Dr. Levinson, released now. In other words, go get the key and turn them loose right now and make sure that in the next 15 minutes I get a cell phone call that notifies me that they are within the grasp of United States people to take them safely to an embassy and get them home. Or there will be no deal and there will be no more talks. Why can't we be tough with those people? But yet our President of the United States, Obama, lets loose 5 killers from Gitmo that absolutely delight in murder, mayhem, and just total destruction of humanity. He lets those guys loose from Guantanamo Bay for a deserter? Somebody help me on this, because it's just not adding up here. I'm sorry, 2 and 2 is not coming up to 4. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm disgusted with this administration. I am. And I make no apologies. Don't forget Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. Penetron by Maisie has a 21-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops, speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, stimulating root growth and microbial activity. Oh my. And Penetron Soil Conditioner gives faster water infiltration to reduce runoff, using less water and helping you with better crops. That's right, better roots that reduce stress for water and nutrients. Penetron by Maisie. Increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner. Yep, Penetron by Maisie. Get the original, not the cheap imitations. Contact your crop advisor to obtain Penetron soil conditioner today. And then if you have other questions, call Dr. Adrian Arp at 734-2255 for additional information. Caller, I'm going to be right there. Don't go away. I'm running a little bit behind here this morning, which is actually nothing new. So bear with me just a second. And I lost my other copy. So, caller, don't forget Minicash's sales. There it is, 1321 East Main in Burley. They sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays at 10:06. Minicash's sales with windows and doors and carpet and vinyl and metal siding and Tartar Farm and Ranch equipment. My goodness, the list goes on and on. Across from the Burley Airport, 1321 East Main in Burley. Zach and Joanne, the crew, Minicash's sales. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you today?
Upset as usual.
Well, that's got to make two of us. It's interesting, and I've never heard it on any of the media channels, including Fox News, that when President Obama took Bill's mom and dad to the White House and had the little ceremony there, that the Bergdahls were already in Washington, D.C. to a motorcycle-type rally. And that's never been brought up, and that's really convenient. That's when Obama changed, makes this exchange for 5 really bad guys for somebody that's a disgrace to our country.
Mm-hmm. You know, the whole situation in the Rose Garden with the Bergdahls and the president walking out with his arm around Mrs. Bergdahl and shaking hands with the bearded Mr. Bergdahl and the, oh, we're so glad we've got him out, and the smiles and the lovey-dovey. You know something? I want the same thing today, right now, for Pastor Abedini and Dr. Levinson that are rotting away in Iranian prisons because nobody's tough enough to negotiate to get them loose right now.
Well, we're becoming a nation of wimps, Zeb, and it's disgraceful.
You know,
my grandfather fought in the Second World War, and, my wife and I've been a part of an effort to give back to these young men and women that served, and we're glad to do it. And they deserve the respect and appreciation that ourselves and so many others shown us. But to exchange 5 bad guys for one deserter, with obviously he's been charged with it, is a national disgrace, and Obama's a national disgrace to our country.
I couldn't have said it better, and it's so good to hear from you. Thank you very much, sir, for your call.
Take care, Zeb.
All right, God bless. There's a good friend of mine. I appreciate him. This is disgraceful. This is absolutely disgraceful. And you Democrats out there in the audience that think Obama can walk on water, don't forget he knows where the rocks are. This is absolutely disgraceful. That this administration would do what they did and has done what it has on many, many subjects that are against the will of the people, against our Constitution, against our laws, against our values. And we sit back, and the last caller was right. We've turned into a nation of wusses. We don't want to make any waves. Oh, gee, let's not make somebody mad. They might not like us. Oh, gee, we better not do that. What happened to us? I said it before, and I'm going to say it again on this program. They can come and pull the plug on this show. End it. If they want to, they can get it done. But until they do, I am not going to kowtow to the liberal loons, the liberal democratic loons that want to stifle free speech in this country. They want to just lead us down the road to Oz, where we don't step off the yellow brick road one way or the other to try to return to the values that made this country great. I'm not going to bend for those people. Caller, I ask your indulgence. I really do have to get a commercial in, and then I'll get your call in before the weather. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Number to call, Scott, 438-2485. Oh, my goodness, get your trees properly pruned. I learned a lot about pruning the other day. This guy is an expert. Let me tell you, grew up in upper state New York, and they got trees there, let me tell you. All the trees, all the stump problems, everything. They know about tree service and landscaping and sprinkler service. You give them a call. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, number 438-2485. You call him today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
I'm listening to that stuff. Excuse me. Listening to that stuff last night. When that Susan Rice said what she did, I wish she'd have choked on her words. I mean, that is sickening what she said.
Saying that Bo Bergdahl served his country with honor. Come again?
Yeah, Bo. That woman, somebody ought to shut her mouth once and for all where she can't get on the phone. There, I said it.
Susan Rice is just another example of how poorly constructed with people, quality people, this administration is. I mean, the likes of her and many, many others, John Kerry, the list goes on and on, where you talk about a JV team, you talk about a B team, they're all very much junior varsity compared to what we've had in the past.
Well, what gets me my goat is that them people that went looking for that deserter, and I'm going to say it like it is, he's a damn deserter. They went looking for him. We've lost at least 7 people in the military looking for him, got killed over it. You don't hear a thing to the parents and the wives and that lost their husbands because looking for a deserter.
Yeah.
He should never have been brought back. In fact is, had been back in World War II, he wouldn't have made it back.
The Army, and Al, you served, the Army would not have come out with their findings on desertion as the bottom line, and also possibly being a traitor. They opened that door up on an alleged another charge that might be, through the court cases, put down in the books behind Bergdahl's name. And I give the Army credit for standing up to the administration, because I understand from my sources they were under complete pressure from the White House.
And that should not happen. That should be up to the War Department and the military.
Yes.
That's what that military code of justice is for. It's for the military. Obama, keep your damn nose out of it, and let's take care of a traitor.
I agree, Al. Thank you for your call. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Red's Trading Post, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin Falls with Ryan Horsley and the rest of the crew. Oh, my, they've got all the guns, all the ammo, all the accessories, and all the people. They've got the people there that know all about what you're going to ask for questions regarding ammunition and regarding all the guns and possibly helping you with your trade-in on used guns. Hey, stop into Red's Trading Post in historic Old Town Twin Falls. They can serve you. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers from Zeb at the Ranch. Nice weekend. There you have it. If you really would like for me to kind of get into this thing, after doing the weather for 30 years, where am I going with this? Or as David Letterman said when he was a weather guy, there's only so many ways that you can explain a cold front. There's only so many ways that you can explain sunny weather and nice. And you're going to get a few clouds. And it's going to start to warm up here as you go from today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So there are only so many ways to describe a nice weekend. So as I'm going to say, because all those weather people that you watch on TV are going to take 3 minutes to tell you what I'm going to tell you in 2 seconds, which is nice weather. Yeah. Hi, today, 57. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the weekend. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you by a landmark in Twin Falls, Red's Trading Post, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin with Ryan Horsley and the entire crew. Calls are welcome on this Bergdahl situation, and I can tell you right now that my audience, with the exception of some that might be of the liberal left that want to vent, which I have a hard time trying to find any of the liberal left that has the courage to call. I'd love to have your calls come in right now at 436-2244. Don't forget the 43rd Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon, Idaho, April 8th through the 12th. This is ripping good fun. They're going to have so many different things going on up there. Wolf howling contests and mule clinics and ranch horse competitions and barrel racings and team ropings. Mule sale on Friday and the big horse sale at 1 o'clock on Saturday and then team roping on Sunday. Whew. Fred Snook's going to be on our program next week. He's going to tell you all about it. And that's the 43rd Annual Salmon Select Horse Sale and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon, April 8th through the 12th. All right, your turn. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Even Jen Psaki, you know, where do they get these people? This redheaded lady that works for Obama and the staff, she was on Megyn Kelly's program last night and absolutely expressed no regrets about the deal that brought Bergdahl back home. And Megyn Kelly asked her if it was absolutely worth it trading 5 really bad terrorists for Bergdahl. And Psaki said, and here's a quote, "Was it worth it? Absolutely. We have a commitment to our men and women serving overseas in our military, defending our national security every day, that we will do everything we can to bring them home, and that's what we did in this case." Wait a minute. Back up a little bit, Jen. We have a commitment to our men and women serving overseas? Yeah, we do. That while they're in harm's way, we will do everything we can to make sure and try to help them be as safe as possible. And going out looking for a deserter and losing human life is not exactly making sure that you're honoring your commitment to try to keep them as safe as possible. I was really offended by this wide-eyed redhead last night on Megyn Kelly's show. And she looked like she was a deer in the headlights, and just honestly not very representative of telling the truth. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I have kind of reached a conclusion about Obama and his group of interesting employees. I can see that we have a lot of universities turning out people who don't even know how to go through a red, green, and yellow street light because they think they're such intellectuals that they don't have to do what the rest of us have to do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that all of them have all kinds of credentials, but what have they ever done with them?
Well, okay, let's go from the top down instead of the bottom up. Real quick, let's start right at the Oval Office. Gee golly, all the leadership experience in the world by being a community organizer. Boy, he's prepared for the job, isn't he?
Yeah. And in our country, we voted him in. The people of this country decided that we could have a black president. I don't think that the black skin made that much difference, but we were showing that we are a inclusive society, and we voted him in. And he's had some interesting people in his cabinet, and nobody has come forward to say, you know, you ought to find out a little more about these people. But we have put up with the shenanigans they have done for 6 years, and I think Obama was using Bo Bergdahl to send a message to all of his, I don't know, liberal friends that, you know, we don't look at the law the same way as the rest of the world does.
You know, Chris, you're one of my dearest friends and great callers, but I'm just going to have to correct you on one statement, and I think it's necessary to do so. Obama is not a black president. Obama is not African American, as many and most newscasters call him. Obama is a mulatto. He had a white and a black parent. That does not qualify, I don't think, being black and or African American. So let's call it what it really is.
Yeah, what is it?
Mulatto. He is a mulatto. He's not an African American president.
My children have a mixed race in their bones, but they're American.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know,
so I think it's time that Americans took a few English lessons and started finding out what words really mean, and let's start by getting real people into those offices where they really want to make a difference, not change the way Americans do things.
All right. Well stated. Thank you, my dear. I enjoyed your call. God bless you. Nice lady. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley with Colonel Dale. Hello, Colonel Dale. I'm telling you, he's got all your Easter needs, Precious Moments figurines, all your books. Oh, 3 floors of books. And all the greeting cards and the craft and art supplies. Oh, please. Nice store. You will never go away empty-handed. empty-handed. That's a promise. And that's the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. You stop in and see them today. And real quick, I want to remind you, too, about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, our major sponsor with a big spring tire sale. Get ready for going to see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred back in Omaha and Granny up in Dillon, whatever the case might be. Check out the big spring tire sale. They've got the passenger car tire, the Eclipse on sale, all-season traction, advanced design tread, and don't forget convenient credit for tires and services, and the best tire value promise in the industry. I'm telling you what, these folks are good. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I got 30 seconds, real fast. Go.
Okay, one question is, Zeb, why hasn't the Fort Hood assassin been taken down, just like Bird Dog?
Another good point of another complete cover-up and other stories, other news happenings have jaded and shaded what happened in the past, and justice has not been served. You could not have said it better. What happened to the Fort Hood killer? Why is he still breathing? I can't answer that, but it's another one of the big, huge mistakes of the Obama administration.
Okay, you gave the answer.
All right, God bless you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
We're going to love Tony and Mary. They're such nice people. Hey, listen, we've got to take a little break and let the big boys from CBS come in here and mess things up, and then we'll be back in about 6 minutes. At 9:06, the Chamber Report. Don't miss it with Kay Cameron, and we've got a lot of goodies next hour. God bless you. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be right back. Here we go, hour number 2 on a Thursday, March 26th already. Holy cow. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Big tire sale going on right now for spring. And some of our great advertisers, which include Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. We're going to have our guest on in just a moment, Kay Cameron, but stand by. I want to also remind you about some folks that are absolutely committed to always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, and that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the manager, and his family and the staff. And one of the things they want me to tell you is when there's the passing of a loved one, please just call them at 436-5636. They can travel to rural towns and churches and help you with the arrangements. Once again, call that number, 436-5636. Very nice people. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Real quick, too, I want to remind you about some more of our great sponsors on this program, and including our friends over at, my goodness, what did I do with that thing? There it is, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Had it right in front of me and I couldn't find it. Carpet, flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, everything you need to make your house a home. And the sheet I was looking for is coming up on April 3rd. Ladies, don't forget, it's going to be another girls' night out of craft making and all kinds of exciting things. April 3rd at Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. Right now, I don't know if they've got a blue door over there or not. I think it's kind of tan, isn't it, at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce? What's the color of your door over there, Kay?
Actually, we have glass doors so we can welcome the beautiful outside into the office.
Oh, I was kind of all wet there. Hey, what's going on at the Chamber this morning?
No, it's a beautiful day. It's a perfect Chamber of Commerce day. You're welcome. We ordered this up special for everybody.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, once again, we take a little tour over to the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce where Kay is in her office, a beautiful office that sees the duckies out in the water as they go down the Snake River. What a beautiful location.
It is, and it's such a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful week. We appreciate the rain that we've received the first part of this week, but all of the schools in the area are on spring break, and how lucky for all of the students and families to be able to have some nice weather to enjoy this week as well.
Well, now, that nice weather is one thing, but still, work goes on. You've got some big items coming up ahead in the next couple of days, don't you?
Absolutely. What I want to talk about today is there's a job fair today over to the College of Southern Idaho in conjunction with the Idaho Department of Labor. So go over to the Burley Mini-Caja CSI Center right down Park Avenue from 1 to 4, and they'll have several vendors set up, and go and explore the opportunities that we have here in our area. If you're either seeking a job or looking to step up to maybe a more highly skilled job or a better job, it's a great opportunity to learn about what is available, what type of pay they're going to be offering, what kind of benefits different companies have, and just see what's available out there. And in conjunction with the job fair, they're doing the safety fest as well. And there's going to be different entities set up there to teach, families and individuals on things that they can do to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that's great, the job fair, but then also right around the corner, looming around the corner, is the big Women's Expo in Burley.
We do. We have our Women's Seminar and Expo coming up in April. It's always a great event. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We still have a few spaces open for vendors if anybody's interested in being a vendor there. And tickets are available. They're $20 a piece, and they can be picked up at our office. So check it out. Like I said, we've got a great lineup of speakers and cooking demonstrations and all kinds of good stuff.
All right. Anything else looming on the horizon?
Oh, summer and sports season, and it's great.
Kay, honestly, sit back and just think for a minute. March 26th already, honestly. It doesn't seem like that many days ago I was saying, Merry Christmas, come on by the office.
I know, it's already the end of March, and it's great, but that's just how it goes. It just seems to go faster and faster, but we've also haven't had much of a winter, so spring has come pretty early. I've got a lot of flowers blooming in my yard. Everywhere you go, people mowed their lawns, and grass is green, and trees are blooming, and spring has sprung.
Have you got any big,
early, but it's beautiful.
Have you got any big golf tournaments or anything coming up that you want to remind people of?
Yes, we just have barely started the planning phase of our golf scramble, and it will be in June. Like I said, we've just started working on that, and always a great day to come out and interact with other chamber members and other businesses in our community. So that's coming up in June.
All right. You sound like you're out of air. Are you jogging down the bike path this morning?
No, I'm actually walking because I've decided when I'm on the phone, it's better for me to get up and move.
Okay.
I sit in my office and sit at my desk so much that I don't get a lot of steps throughout the day, so I've tried to, when I'm on the phone, I've tried to make a goal to, when I'm on the phone, get up and move and just get a few steps in because I sit too much.
All right, now I'm assuming that when you started this call, you may have been in Burley, and by now you're halfway to Declo, right?
No, I kind of just pace back and forth.
Oh, okay. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of the Chamber of Commerce if they have questions, please.
Come by and see us. We're located at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn. Give us a call at 208-679-4793. Find us online at minicajachamber.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and connect on LinkedIn.
The always mobile and traveling Kay Cameron. Thank you, Kay. God bless you.
Have a great day.
All right, thank you. I thought she was out of air there for a few minutes, and she's walking. I think, honestly, that's the second call I've ever had with somebody moving on during a telephone conversation. I remember one time Mike Crapo was trying to get back to the Senate, and he had a meeting to go to, and he did the whole interview while he was breathing and panting hard trying to get back to the Senate chambers, and we just had Kate Cameron on, so thank you very much. Got to pay some bills right now and remind you about our friends with Lennox. Oh, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering quality rebates on Lennox home comfort systems. Yes, sir, I forgot to turn off my call to the post again. Anyway, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. As a Lennox independent dealer for almost 50 years, Ramsey Heating and Electric, they know the equipment and they've done the shopping for you. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money with Lennox. Warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Also, real fast, I want to remind you about our friends over to Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, or Rupert and Burley, or wherever you're in between of. Anyway, don't forget, they've got all the ATVs. All your ATVs to get up in the hills this spring. And the Can-Am ATV side-by-sides, rebates for this year, 2015. And there are only a few days left on the 2016 snow check. What's snow check? Well, go in and put a $500 deposit down on your new snow machine, custom made the way you want it built to your specifications. You've only got till April 19th to get this done, so put together those $100 bills and get in there to Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. The number to call, 436-4771. That is the place where the fun is sold. On the line with me right now is a dear friend and loves to get freebies like banana bread and zucchini bread and everything else. Hello, George Mass. How are you?
I am doing good, and that's the place to go get the goodies, too.
I know, right over here in my wife's kitchen.
Yes. Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
We met with Senator Cameron.
George, I'm going to ask you to speak up. Don't talk so low, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Yesterday morning, 8 o'clock, we went in front of the Senate committee on the bill S-1155.
Right.
The Senate passed it unanimously. I'm 100%. It should go to the House either late this afternoon or tomorrow, and we'll probably meet on it sometime Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week. What I need to do is to ask all my supporters to call 332-1000 and get hold of your local representative, and they will and ask them to support this bill.
All right, now let's just kind of break this down a little bit. And George, I do need you to speak up a little bit. Your voice is very, very soft. You have a monument that absolutely is the most tasteful and respectful monument that I've ever seen. It's on private ground and put up by private citizens, called the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument. Tell us a little bit about the monument itself, real quick.
The monument is put up to honor, pay tribute to our fallen soldiers that died to give you and me the freedom. It's a place that the family can go and kind of get a closure or get close to the ones they've lost.
And the reason that you wanted this bill to go before the Senate and also to go before the House to become law is that you want to, at this monument, be able to fly the United States flag at half-staff in honor of our fallen soldiers.
Yes, that is correct. We're not breaking new ground. Their union in Texas has one that their state legislator passed. And so Senator Dean Cameron has backed this 100%. He proposed the bill, and we just need people to get in and get a hold of your representatives and support the bill S-1155.
All right, now, like you said, it went through the Senate and flew through with 100% support, and now it's going to go to the House, probably up for a vote on Monday, and you're asking our listeners, and they should call other people in support of the Idaho Roll Call Monument, to call 332, this is a Boise number, 332-1000, and say, yes, I support the flag at half-staff on the Idaho Roll Call Monument, right?
Yes, they'll ask you what district you're in, so they can let your representatives know from your district.
Well, you know, I'm very supportive of what you've done, you and your lovely wife, and, of course, many others. I just absolutely hope and pray that it sails through the House with no trouble, and anything we can do extra over and above what you've asked already, please let us know.
Yes, and we need to do it, you know. The fallen soldiers have not let us down. Just don't let them down.
Absolutely. You've done so much to support and honor the military, George, and I really salute you and, of course, your Sons of Liberty that present flags and colors at various events. I really appreciate that. You were in the United States Navy, and you've done a lot to help and honor and also make us cognizant of what needs to be done.
Yes, and one thing I can comment, Senator Cameron made this remark yesterday. By proposing this bill, it has opened the eyes to flag etiquette and flag code of the United States. A lot of them didn't know a lot about it.
You know, now, isn't that amazing that, and I respect Senator Cameron so much, that he would make those statements and also really go to bat for you on that Bill 1155. And I think it's great that we all could learn about flag etiquette. We all could learn about our past and our future and, quite frankly, our present. I wished a lot of the national representatives and senators were as smart as what we have right here in the state of Idaho.
Yes, and what really floored me, I guess, is that it's a non-partisan bill and had 100% support from Democrats and Republicans. There's absolutely no squabbling over it whatsoever.
Okay. Well, George, I wish you the very best of success. Now, that number again is a Boise number, 332-1000. Easy number, 332-1000. Call that number and tell them how you support the Flag at Half Staff with the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument to honor our fallen soldiers. And if they ask you what bill it is, just say 1155. Is that right, George?
Yes, 1155. And if you got friends or relatives throughout Idaho, get them to call. We need support from all over Idaho, not just Mini-Cassia.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thank you for being on the program this morning.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, George. Thank you. George Mass, a dear, dear friend. And please call that number, everybody, 332-1000. Don't forget Streamlined Precision, 120 South, 100 west of Burley. Oh, these are good folks. Oh, they can build anything. Oh, they can build it right. Yes, sirree, Bobby. I'm telling you what, Streamlined Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. You call Tim at 431-7314. Let me give you that number again, 431-7314, and he's the main man right there to give you the estimates on what you need to have built on your property. Just call Tim, 431-7314. Right now, they are busy putting up the best in grain bins for on-the-farm storage. They're an authorized dealer for Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings, and they're putting down a lot of concrete for mangers and feed alleys and trenching for pipelines. And you know, they are so excellent at what they do. They're just currently building also the new Funk Dairy here just south of me in Murtaugh. They are good. Yes, sirree. You give them a call, 431-7314. Streamlined Precision, 120 South, 100 west of Burley. Professionals building for you. Oh, we're going to have Dog Nation in just a moment. Stand by for that, because I also want to remind you about our friends Dean Cameron and Todd Siemens. Oh, they're over there on Highway 24 in Rupert. The best of life insurance and health insurance, retirement planning and employee benefits. They've got the answers to your questions, and they can help you. So please write that down and give them a call. Here, make an appointment by calling 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, waiting right this minute to serve you. Holy cow, where in the world did all these dogs come from anyway? They're all over the place. Who let the dogs out?
He has not made it into the studio yet.
Well, I don't care if he's made it or not. Play the theme song. Go ahead. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? There you go. Who let the dogs out? Oh, my goodness sakes, who let the dogs out is right. And Officer Ken Mort, we employ you to give us a call. Implore you to give us a call. I'll employ you, too. I'll give you a job. Give us a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we expect to get Dog Nation on with Ken Mort momentarily. And Mort, if you're within the sound of my voice, give us a call real quick so we can talk about the doggies. Hey, while we're waiting for Ken to give us a call, I also want to tell you a little bit about Mad River Laser. Oh, this lady does such a wonderful job at Mad River Laser, and Nicole and the rest of the crew. I'm going to tell you what right now, that if you need something for your business and you need pins or you need other things to pass out, or, little, caps and T-shirts and everything else, all you have to do is just get a hold of her at Mad River Laser. They're right on the square in Rupert waiting to serve you. Now, I've been in there many, many times, and I'll guarantee you that they've got the best of promotional items. And for those that need banners for the Women's Expo that's coming up, you can get your banners made up for your businesses or whatever you want to promote at Mad River Laser over there in Rupert, right on the square, and get 25% off. That's right, 25% off if you mention my name. So you be sure and stop in there today, right on the square in Rupert. Wonderful, wonderful people at Mad River Laser, and Nicole will take care of you, okay? You stop in and see her today. Has he showed up yet? Well, we're waiting.
No, he hasn't.
Well, then we'll just go along. Evidently something happened, and maybe he's chasing a dog or a kitty cat or something down the street. We don't know. But anyway, Officer Mort should be here on Dog Nation, and we don't know where he went. But we will try to find him. Other news notes this morning, and this is a little bit more than disconcerting. I was listening to the news last night, and they were talking about an ISIS cleric. I'm going to bit my tongue right there. Sorry about that. An ISIS cleric that is sending information and well wishes to his killer friends in the Mideast and also Africa. An ISIS cleric that lives in Dearborn, Michigan. Very chilling. Dearborn, Michigan, ISIS cleric using his home base in Dearborn, Michigan to wish ISIS members in Northern Africa and the Mideast well in their killing sprees of humanity. From right here in our United States. Doesn't that just make you sick? Absolutely make you sick. Oh, and another story that we wanted to touch on this morning that maybe you heard about is the blonde from California that was kidnapped and supposedly being held for ransom. Everybody had it on the news. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was mentioning that she was taken from the house and she was found 400 miles south in Southern California. Everybody was asking how come the boyfriend waited 12 hours to comment about the loss and the abduction of this girl. Well, it all was a hoax. Every bit of it was a hoax. The police department's looking for her. The detectives looking for her, thinking that she may have been already murdered. Search and rescue people looking for her. And this 30-year-old blonde and her boyfriend, this was all a hoax. And what really makes the story even sicker, she disappeared again. She's gone. The police and authorities are trying to find her again because I think she realizes that she's in a heap of trouble. And I guess they know the whereabouts of the boyfriend, which he must be a real Wheaties box top champion. And but the girl's gone. They don't know where she is again after she caused all this heartache and all this money in trying to find her. Absolutely ridiculous. We are going to, at this time, we're going to go over to the station. I believe if Rita Ramsey is listening, we'll just get her to call in just maybe a moment or two early. And we don't know. Maybe Officer Mort is on vacation because of spring break. Maybe Officer Mort took off with his family and he just kind of fled the scene. We don't know. But he's not here on the program with us this morning, so we wish him the best. Did you hear anything about Officer Mort? He's on vacation. Well, why didn't somebody tell us? Did you know and you forgot to tell me? Oh, you just called? Oh, you called his number and there was no answer, right? Okay. Or did he answer?
Answering machine.
Oh, the answering machine. Okay, good. Officer Mort is nowhere to be found. Maybe we should exhaust the same resources that we're looking for this girl in Southern California and go find Kim Mort. Anyway, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And in just a few moments, we've kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath us here this morning. In just a few moments, we're going to have Rita, and I believe, let's see, Rita is on the phone for you, sir. I tell you what, Old Wheels is one of the most polite people in the world. Good morning, Rita Ramsey. Are you there, or is this Memorex?
It is really me. Maybe Officer Mort's out chasing dogs.
Well, I would assume that would be probably his job, and he might be doing that, but nobody called me to let me know. And so I'm sitting here just ready to recite the Gettysburg Address. I had nothing else to do.
You know, maybe we ought to hear that.
No. By the way, on a very serious note, and I know that you follow the news as closely as anyone, Rita, this commandeering of a jetliner by the co-pilot and nosing it right into a mountainside at 450 miles an hour, this is one of the most horrendous stories that I've ever heard.
Well, it is absolutely horrendous, and you know, I would imagine, and I'm just guessing this is just from me and my own personal opinion, I would guess that we will find out the history of this co-pilot, and he possibly would have terrorist, associates and that type of thing. However, I had learned something here a while back. I don't know whether the majority of your audience had heard this or not, but you know how the terrorists did our 9/11 thing with the planes going into the towers and everything? That was actually a Hitler plan back in the 40s before World War II ended. And that's what he was going to do, is going to go to New York, because that was the Jewish capital of the world at the time, he thought, because the Jews took basic charge of the finances and the business in America, and it was kind of a worldwide thing. And so he had planes. Their big plan was to get these big giant planes and have these little tiny small planes. There would be 4 of them attached, 2 on each wing, and they would have bombs on them, and they would actually head over to New York. And just before they got there, before they got into where they would be detected by the radar, those little tiny planes would take out, jump off of the plane, the big plane, and head into all of the big buildings in New York. And the description that Hitler actually had written was that those planes would cause the buildings to tumble down, and New York would be just a burning pot with smoke all over, and it would get rid of the Jewish people over there, which was the center of the world, according to him in that time. And so it was like Bin Laden just made that come to fruition off of a Hitler plan, and Hitler had that planned, and they didn't actually do it because the war ended before he was able to actually put it into to force and make it happen. And it kind of makes you wonder if this guy and some of these other people are just thinking, hey, you know what? We can just start doing whatever, and a plane was a good thing to do. You won't convince me that plane that we have not had any kind of information on whatsoever wasn't commandeered somehow.
You know, and until they find evidence contrary to what you just said, I have to agree with you, because show me evidence otherwise. There isn't any. And I got a couple of questions for you this morning, and I was thinking about this, and I mentioned it in the first hour. If you were listening, maybe you've got an answer. The co-pilot was a young man, 28 years of age, and he had far, far fewer hours behind the stick of the airplane than the pilot did. I think he only had like 600 hours. But he was accomplished and very well qualified to be a pilot and or co-pilot. But here they are going from Barcelona, Spain to Germany, and he waited until the pilot got up to go back and use the restroom, and then he locked the door and basically commandeered the plane. My question to you is, if this was premeditated and he had it all worked out, how did he know, the co-pilot, that pilot was going to get up and use the restroom? I mean, had the pilot not got up, would that have thwarted the plan? I mean, really, there's some variables here and intangibles that I don't quite understand how he knew and how premeditated this really was.
Well, I guess only time will tell if they can find out any more information off of those black boxes, but I'm sure that it is not unusual for a pilot or a co-pilot to, once they get up to cruising altitude and have a few minutes for them to take a potty break or something, and it was possibly like, well, I'm just going to do it on whatever plane I'm on whenever the opportunity arises, and this is how I'll let that come to pass, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, the mental instability, and first of all, maybe he was unstable, maybe he had mental problems, according to some of the people I've heard and talked to this morning back east, and I have Rich Noyes on my program from the Media Research Center next hour that's done a study on this. He's going to be talking about the co-pilot. But we don't know anything yet about the mindset of this co-pilot. We don't know anything really firm about whether he had connections to terrorist groups or whatever. This whole thing is up in limbo, but can you imagine the absolute terror that those people went through on that airplane? I mean, for they've estimated more than 8 minutes, maybe even 12 to 13 minutes of decline at 450 miles an hour going right into the base of the mountains of the Swiss Alps. I mean, what a horrendous trip and finalization that was.
That just is totally unimaginable. I cannot in my wildest dreams imagine how people would be thinking, what can we do? Is there anything we can do, you know? And meanwhile, they've just got minutes before they know they're all going to be in this horrific crash.
And, you know, I guess on the one hand, and you'd have to admit this, that the security of the cockpit proved to work because nobody could get through the door. So I guess on the one hand, the security of these airplanes and the locking of that door would stem terrorists from the outside.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other thing was, and, you know, there was a pilot, and I don't even know which show it was I was watching that they were talking about. He said that it's not protocol for one of the members of the cabin to leave without somebody else coming in there, so that there's more than one person actually in that, in the cockpit there. Yeah. So it's kind of strange that one of the stewards or stewardesses didn't go in there when he came out. So it was kind of a bizarre deal, I think.
Rita, I don't want to hold off any longer on the number one story this morning for those of us here in Idaho, and I said last hour, and I'll stand behind it, I've said for a long, long time that I did not trust the circumstances around Bo Bergdahl. I did not trust Bo Bergdahl. And I came out months and months and months ago and said that I believed he was a deserter and possibly worse. And from the people in the contacts that I had back east, well, now the United States Army, and I think they deserve some praise and kudos, because the U.S. Army stood up to much heavy pressure from the White House and the President, and they came out with their report that, yes, they're going to file charges against Bergdahl for being a deserter, and yes, possibly even worse, to the point where when the facts come out, they might even call him a traitor. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we all knew when the details started coming out at the time that he went missing that this was more of a case of a desertion than anything else, and so for it to be called anything else. And then that media thing that they did, and how President Obama did it over the weekend, I don't know if you remember exactly where you were when you heard it, but I remember exactly where I was at, and I was just flabbergasted. I'd gone to Boise with my daughter, and I was in the car, and I heard that it was a Saturday, and I was just mortified to think that President Obama would trade some Taliban people for him, for Bergdahl, when it's like, does the president not understand that he deserted, and why would he negotiate with terrorists anyway? And that's the big question, is why he would negotiate with terrorists when there were other possibilities and ways of getting Bergdahl back if they wanted to actually go in and try to do it. But to negotiate with terrorists and let them say who they wanted and how many they wanted, and for us to just go ahead and do it, and then this big farce of a news conference with the mom and dad. I mean, it was all just a big circus.
Well, it was, but look at the other terrorist acts that have gone unnoticed by the press since they occurred. Look at Nidal Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter. Please tell me what's going on with that case. Do you read about it? Do you hear about it? Do you find out what that man's going to face the death penalty? What's going on with Nidal Hassan?
See, they only emphasize the ones that they want to, and that's my other big thing is, you know, you always hear the Democrats when they're defending what President Obama did in making those trades with the terrorists and you know, is that they say, well, you know, we don't leave any of ours behind. And every time they do that, I scream and say, yeah, what about Benghazi?
Well,
not leaving anybody behind.
Along with Benghazi, though, and I said this first hour, and I want you to respond to this. Where is Obama? Where is Kerry? Where is the State Department in trying to demand, by slamming their fists down on the desk with Iran in negotiations against the nuclear bomb, where are they in demanding the release of Pastor Abedini and Dr. Levinson?
Yeah, they're just do selective negotiating is all they do, and they have absolutely no reason to want to do anything with him because he's a good guy and he's a Christian, and he doesn't fit our narrative.
But you say that they have nothing to do with it, but wait a minute. Why aren't we, the American people, and all the senators and all the congressmen, why aren't they just absolutely demanding that this be done? I was listening to a commentator the other day, and Obama and Kerry with this very clandestine, very quiet, very under-the-table deal on nuclear activities with Iran, stating that they're going to release the information, wait a minute, not to our Congress, but to the United Nations. That just reeks of global tyranny as far as I'm concerned.
That just reminds me of a child not getting his own way with his parents and saying, well, that's fine, I'll just go to my stepdad or my stepmom or my real dad or my real mom or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous for him to think that he can go around our Congress and not get permission and have it done. It's okay, well, I'll just abdicate that responsibility over to the UN. They're my stepdad or whatever, and so we'll just let them do it. And certainly they can make that kind of thing happen. And I don't really have to go through our procedures that the Constitution, you know, says has to happen. In other words, we know that President Obama does not consider the Constitution the law of the land, of which it is.
What do you think is going to happen here? I mean, I'm really starting to sweat bullets wondering what kind of an, behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room, kind of a nuclear deal Kerry and Obama and their henchmen are going to give with Iran. And here we have all these senators and all these congressmen that supposedly should know, but Obama's going to give it to the United Nations first? Woo! I mean, if that's not just going against the red, white, and blue, I don't know what is.
Well, you know, that's not only bad for us, but that's bad for a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, or over, you know, the countries over there, Saudi Arabia, and a lot of those countries, if he deals with Iran and lets them, oh yeah, it's okay, and by the end of 10 years, if you've been a good kid, you can have your nuke and you can do whatever you want with it. Well, they know it'll never last for 10 years, and the thing that will happen, and it was mentioned, is that the other countries will end up getting nukes, and they'll just have a big shootout is what will happen, and it won't be good for anyone. I know I read an article that said, he was talking, I think it was Wolf Blitzer, he was talking to Governor Scott Walker, asked him about his candidacy and his president. Well, he said that he would void any deal that Obama makes with Iran if it allows the country to continue the arrangement. And he said, well, would you really do that? And he said, absolutely, day one. He said, the concept of a nuclear Iran is not only problematic for Iran and certainly for Israel, but it opens the doors. I mean, the Saudis are next. You're going to have plenty of others in the region. There's no love lost between the Saudis and the Iranians. And so they're going to want to have a nuclear weapon. If the Iranians have a nuclear weapon, this is something that just escalates before our eyes.
We are living in dangerous times.
Yeah, conceding that they're going to allow enrichment to go forward indicates this administration doesn't share the same concerns about a nuclear Iran. A nuclear Iran is a problem for the entire world.
You know, I just made a comment a few minutes ago before you got on the air about how this morning, I think it was at about 4:45, I think it was, I heard a newscast about an ISIS cleric, an Islamic terrorist cleric, sending information to his friends in the Middle East and also Africa at the training camps, sending well wishes for their bombs and their murder and their mayhem. Oh, and by the way, I think I neglected to say that they traced it back, and this Islamic cleric, ISIS cleric, lives in Dearborn, Michigan.
That doesn't surprise me. And you know, that FBI representative told us that every state in the Union of the United States has people there watching. It makes me really nervous to think that they're watching them, but nothing's happened, and hopefully they're on top of it more than we know, and they're just kind of waiting for things to escalate so they can actually do something. But if that's every state in this nation, we're in big trouble.
Absolutely.
And this is all we need, is Iran to have a nuke so that everything else can escalate, and it'll start up things going around here as well.
Rita, I got to ask you to stay tuned for just a minute. I've got to do a weather forecast brought to everybody by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, and they're located at 382 North Overland in Burley. Number to call, number to remember, 678-6996. Put it on your refrigerator. Your health is their number one priority, and they understand that being sick or hurt, it's not convenient, so they do their very best to make healthcare convenient for you. They will see you today. Minor emergencies, major care at Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 678-6996. And now here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers for Zeb at the Ranch. Nice weekend. There you have it. If you really would like for me to kind of get into this thing, after doing the weather for 30 years, where am I going with this? Or as David Letterman said when he was a weather guy, there's only so many ways that you can explain a cold front. There's only so many ways that you can explain sunny weather and nice. And you're going to get a few clouds. And it's going to start to warm up here as you go from today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So there are only so many ways to describe a nice weekend. So as I'm going to say, because all those weather people that you watch on TV are going to take 3 minutes to tell you what I'm going to tell you in 2 seconds, which is Nice weather. Yeah. High today, 57. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the weekend. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Michael Rogers Weather. Thank you. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Oberlin in Burley, 678-6996. Okay, Rita. You saw this last week. Ted Cruz, through his Resist All hat, in the ring, first man to formally announce that he's going to run for president. Ted Cruz on very conservative issues, which I respect and admire. Ted Cruz really being hammered by the leftist media. They have come after him like a junkyard dog. Woo! Tell us about it.
Well, I really respect Ted Cruz as well, and you've got all kinds of people and anything from soup to nuts saying how unqualified he is and everything else. The thing of it is, I think he made a good point when he was talking to Megyn Kelly, and she said, she asked him, she said, what have you done? What have you actually accomplished? And, how are you any different than first term Senator Barack Obama? And he said, well, we both went to Harvard, but there are marked differences. He said that Obama is basically a backbencher during his time in the Senate. He didn't lead on any issues or anything. And we've talked about this before. President Obama in the United States Senate and in his state Senate only voted present. He never did vote. There was only one vote he actually took, and he voted yes or no. All the rest of them were present. He never made a decision one. He just sat on the back bench just waiting for the meeting to get over so he could go to whatever else he had to do. But he didn't really do anything.
Well, and that's true. And look at Ted Cruz's record since being a senator and even before as what he was involved in with very tumultuous politics for conservatism and really promoting the Republican Party. Ted Cruz, I think, has just absolutely been hammered by a leftist, kookish type Democratic Party. Yesterday, I got to run this by you and see if you heard about this. Yesterday, a professor in Kansas University's Washburn University told his students at Washburn University yesterday that if Ted Cruz became president, he, Mr. Cruz, would bring back total racial discrimination worse than ever and fight for white supremacy. You can't say that kind of thing in a classroom. I mean, my goodness, what's the matter with this professor?
That boils down to their modus operandi. If they don't have anything that they can counter with, they can always use the racist issue and start scaring people that way. It's so crazy but that's exactly what they do. If they don't have any kind of facts or anything to back it up or anything else, it's like, well, we'll just say that he's a racist and he's going to start, caging up black people and everything else. And oh, good grief! That's an old issue. We know your old tactics. Get away from it. At least come up with something different.
Rita, the one thing that really bothered me the other day, Monday, I was listening on various networks as to some of the so-called political pundits and so-called political people in the know with politics, and it was very frustrating, and I'm sure you heard some of this. Some of the pundits said, oh, let the Cruzes get involved. Oh, let the Rand Pauls get involved. Oh, let the Scott Walkers get involved. Their candle's going to burn out, and we all know it's going to be Hillary and Jeb Bush. And right there, I said to myself, this is what's wrong with American politics today. This is what's wrong with our trying to be a better nation and trying to grow and overcome some of our mistakes. They want the same old in there. My goodness, how much lower can we get than possibly Hillary or even Jeb Bush? I mean, I would not want to support either one.
Well, that's just what's bad is the news media as well as some of the insiders in Washington think that they can choose whoever they want and coronate them, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, and they can have who they want, and it doesn't really matter who the American people want. And that's where we have got to make a big difference. Peter King even said, well, I'm not a fan of Senator Cruz, and he said, we need debate in this country, and Cruz might be an intelligent person, but he doesn't carry out an intelligent debate. He oversimplifies, he exaggerates, and he basically led the Republican Party over the cliff in the fall of 2013. My question to him was, if he led the the GOP over the cliff. How'd that turn out with the elections in 2014?
Yes, ma'am. Very well stated. Rita, in the time remaining, and I've got about 2.5 minutes left, what's going on with the Tea Party? Any meetings that you want to amplify right here this morning?
Well, we haven't decided actually who our speaker is going to be for April yet, but we're trying to get speakers in every month and have them come and to help us to become knowledgeable about the issues that are going on. The meeting that we had last week was absolutely eye-opening, and it just really bothers me that there weren't 10 times as many people there.
Let me ask you a question right there, if you don't mind my rudeness in asking, but what was the general theme, the general gist of what Mr. Thompson said regarding free trade agreements?
Well, the general gist of it is, and I really believe that this is true and there's documents to back it up, is that we will make these trade agreements and we'll sign up and sign on with whoever around the world, and it does everybody good but America, just like NAFTA did. And basically what it boils down to in the end is that there won't be any borders in America. It'll be all one country. And you can see that, you know. And the thing that's really bad about it is we make these agreements with other countries, and with the UN. The UN's the one who kind of oversees all of it, so it can not question in your mind, you know, is there really a chance of one world government? If the UN's in charge, yeah, sure. Yeah. But it's just that none of these things are good for America. They're trying to destroy everything that America's got, the freedom and everything, and it's good for other countries, but it's not good for us.
Amen. Rita Ramsey, I always look forward to Thursdays to having you on the program, and I appreciate your comments. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Okay, thanks, Zeb. You have a good week.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Take care. God bless. Very nice lady, Rita Ramsey, and I enjoy having her on my program every Thursday at 9:30. You know what else I look forward to on Thursdays? I look forward to the segment called Hungry and Starving to Death, which I am. And, oh my goodness, you'll have to pardon me just a little bit if I start drooling into the microphone as we talk about Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland in Burley. Listen to this with breakfast burritos. I have a weakness for breakfast burritos with scrambled eggs, bacon and sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, sauce, all on the tortilla shell. Oh my goodness sakes, quit, Zeb. Oh, it's so delicious. Or try the spicy chicken bacon ranch burger or the southern baked burrito at Taco Bandito 2301 Overland in Burley. How about we try Burgers, etc.? 2 locations. 2, that's right. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 North Overland in Burley. Hey, corn dogs and burritos only 99 cents after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. What in the world, boy? I'm telling you, that's delicious. And they got all the burgers, and they got all the taco salads, and they got all the kids' meals, and the onion rings, and the tater tots. Oh, my. And don't forget, at the Burley location on Sundays, they got a shrimp dinner special. Oh, they're good. Burgers, etc. 124 South Oneida, Rupert, and 700 North Overland in Burley. Let's move over to Steve-O's at 290 South 600 west of Heyburn. Food made the way you like it. Oh, they were voted to have the best French fries by the Minnecasia readers. You better believe it. Fresh, hand-cut French fries, either steak fries or regular fries, and hand-patted hamburger patties made daily with love. And I'm telling you what, they got the delicious pork chops with salad and choice of potatoes. Oh, friendly staff over there. You're going to love the food the way you like it at Steve-O's, 290 South 600 west of Heyburn. And last but not least in our little tour, we stop at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Famous Farmer Brown burgers. Oh my. And the combo meals. meals. Oh my, and all the delicious shakes, every kind of flavor. They got great ice cream there. You're going to love it. And they've also got something new, the country fried steak on a bun. Oh, this is so good, served with their signature white sauce, lettuce, Swiss cheese, and country fried steak. Oh my, you're going to love it at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. I had to swallow there because I absolutely am starved. Coming up next hour, what have we got cooking? Well, we're going to have the lovely Debbie Critchfield's going to be on for the Cassia County School Days. Then we're going to have a visit with Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. And then at 10:30, don't forget, we're going to have Rich Noyes on talking about this Bo Bergdahl case. And he's got a lot of the facts and figures that he's been working on for his story all morning long. He's going to bring us up to speed. So stay tuned. I will be back in about 6 minutes. Zeb at the Ranch, don't you go away. Oh my, here we are. Look outside at that blue sky. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a big spring tire sale right now. And then also some of our great advertisers, including Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and our friends at Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley Wide Home and Ranch. We're going to have our guest on in just a few minutes, but right now I also want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What is on the menu special for today? Oh my goodness, one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Sweet and sour chicken over white rice with vegetables super salad. Oh, food is great. Food is fantastic at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Nice people. Lots and lots of menu items. You're going to love it. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley, with today's special sweet and sour chicken over white rice with veggies and super salad. Gonna be great. Also, real quick, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Yep, yours truly got in the pool yesterday. You better believe it, with the treadmill in the bottom of the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, my. Had a good workout, too. I really respect these folks. All the great folks over there, Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and everybody else with all the sports medicine, all the great mixes of exercises, and all the comprehensive services. But I want to tell you a little bit about their staff. They've got a wonderful staff like Kelly Moulton. We told you about her the other day. And then we were bragging about some other great folks, and they're all really nice. And how about Kalen Smith? You better believe it. Mr. Do-It-All, as they like to call him. Graduated from Burley High School in 2008, and he's worked at the Burley Physical Therapy for over 2 years. Really a good guy. Their whole staff, just really nice people. At Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Now, the number to call, 678-1191, 678-1191. Make an appointment so they can help you get back to feeling like you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Good folks. You know, before we get our guest on the air, I got to tell you that Louisville Slugger. You've heard of Louisville Slugger. I did not know some of these facts. They produce and manufacture over 1.2 million wooden bats per year. Holy cow. And since the company started, it has produced more than 100 million bats. And the first Louisville Slugger, and I've got a Louisville Slugger that I had since I was, oh my goodness, Little League, I think like 8 years old back in Wisconsin. And the first Louisville Slugger bat was made in 1884 when Bud Hillerick produced a bat from his father's woodworking shop for Pete Browning of the Louisville Eclipse pro baseball team. That was the first bat ever made. And the 131-year-old company just was sold. They sold it for $70 million to Wilson Sporting Goods. So what an icon. Louisville Slugger. And they've even written songs about it. And Jackie Robinson, by the way, signed a bat contract with Louisville Slugger on October 31st, 1946, 5.5 months before he broke into Major League Baseball in 1947. What a history. Louisville Slugger. All right. Hey, I'm going to tell you what right now. We have been blessed on this program with some really nice people on Cassia County School Days. And the credit for Cassia County School Days' success all goes to Debbie Critchfield. And we're going to have her on the program with us in just a moment. But right now I want to mention the sponsors, too. And they are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, you can go in there, draw an egg for... extra, that's the word, extra savings, and they've got a great selection of spring dresses and beautiful baby presents, and everything is freely gift wrapped for you. Oh my goodness sakes, you're going to love it. Yep, get in there to A Child's World. They just celebrated their 12th birthday at 1308 Overland in Burley. And then also don't forget the Ambulatory Surgery Center on 1344 Highland in Burley with outstanding medical care, and save lots and lots of money on procedures like colonoscopies, eye surgery, sinus surgery, etc. Very happy people, and their record stands on its own. Excellent. Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland in Burley. Let's go to the phone line right now, and the lovely communications officer for Cassia County Schools, Debbie Critchfield. How are you this morning?
I am well. Good morning.
I bet you thought I'd never shut up.
I know. I appreciate all the lies that you tell people on my account.
Oh, well, you do a wonderful job, and I know that you're extreme. You probably just sat down in the easy chair after that election and said, whew, am I glad that's over, and thank the good Lord.
Yes, and I was a little misguided in the relief or feelings of relief, because now it's time to get the buildings built, and so that will be work on the other end. But it's wonderful.
I would imagine, yeah. Now the work really begins. You know, Debbie, I'm just going to ask this first of all, because I'm not sure what the situation is in every school, but when I was in school, we really studied a lot about our country. We really studied a lot about what it took to make this country so great and how important the red, white, and blue of the American flag is. Do we really get that anymore today?
We do, and not only in high school, but there is a lot of that study done in our elementary schools, and we really hit it hard, of course, with our high school students. Our textbooks that we just adopted, the Constitution is on the cover, and particularly our juniors, they will spend the entire year in their U.S. government class with a real focus on the Constitution, on our founding fathers, and what it took to build this great country.
Well, what about the bill that's up in front of our legislature right now to have to pass a civics test? I am absolutely in favor of it. I think it's great because I don't think we stress it enough in our schools to really understand what's happening. Your thoughts?
You're going to really appreciate then what Senator Patrick out of Filer has done. In fact, it was to be debated on the House floor today. He introduced it in the Senate, and I think the votes were, I want to say there was like 8 or 9 dissenting votes, but it went right through there, and I suspect that it will have the same reception on the House side. What he is proposing is that our students be required to pass a civics test in order to graduate, and the test would be based on the same types of questions that we use for immigration. That process of becoming a citizen. And he wants to kind of get it to a point where this year's sophomores actually would be the first class, should this go through, that would be required to pass the test, and they would have to, of a 100-question test, they would need to get 60 of those right. And then beginning with this year's freshmen, they're on, he wants to see a 70%, and that's how the bill is written. The first next group of kids, it would, 60% proficient and then 70%.
You know, why is it, and I'm not saying this is in regards to any teacher or any principal in this area, but I have seen and heard teachers from other areas of the state of Idaho, and quite frankly, other teachers in other states say, oh, well, the kids are tested enough. They don't have time for this civics test. They don't have time for that. We don't have time to teach it. And I look at the screen and I want to throw one of my Tony Lama boots through it, because of all the things we should be learning, it's about our country.
Yeah, and to be honest, that has been a discussion. And there were several groups in Boise that did lobby against this bill for that very reason. I think one of the accommodations in what's been proposed with Senator Patrick is you have 6 years to complete it. And so as a seventh grader, we have some seventh graders who are real zippy with history and government and love that. And I suspect you would have been one of those that, as a seventh grader, hey, give me that test. I'm ready to get it done. And as I read through the bill, not only do you have 6 years, but you can keep taking it. And, we ought to have our students for sure by high school to a level that they could answer questions like how many Supreme Court justices are there, when was the Constitution signed, and who's our governor. These are actually the questions that are on the immigration test, so they shouldn't be too difficult.
Right. Now, Debbie, along with the civics test requirements, you are kind of getting your own little civics test because you're on the East Coast right now. Tell us a little bit about your journeys and what you, as communications officer for the Cache County Schools, go ahead, tell us what you've learned.
Well, I'm here with my daughter, who's a junior, a group of 30 students from Oakley High School. Parents or chaperones are, of course, allowed to come along, and decided to do that with her and some other students. And as you mentioned, the lessons that you learn when you see these things that we talk about, to go to the National Archives and see the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and to go to Mount Vernon where George Washington was, and these important historical figures. There's just this wonderful sense of pride, and you just can't walk away from these places without having a sense that there was such a hand in getting all of these things put together, this great country that we live in.
Now, where are you as we speak?
I'm actually standing in at the 9/11 Memorial Museum, at the fountains that are out there where the tower stood, and this is quite a reverent place to take it all in New York. What a tremendous monument, and just sign of respect for those folks.
Well, now, I tell you what, there's so many things to see in New York City, and I would suggest after you leave the very solemn point of interest with the Twin Towers and that museum, if you get an opportunity, and maybe you already have, to go over to the United Nations. I mean, one look at the United Nations, and then also that caricature outside the United Nations of the Twisted Pistol gun barrel. It brings a lot of things to mind that we've talked about on this program.
We'll have to do that. I know that when we're done here, we'll get on a bus and kind of tour some places in the city. So I hope that's on the itinerary.
One of the things that you will probably get taken by, and that's the Fulton Fish Market. And may I suggest that you have a heavily scented handkerchief in your purse?
It sounds like that would be a place, yeah. One of the things on this trip, aside from the great historical sites and visits, you got to soak in the food, the local flavor of the food.
And there is a lot of it on all the street corners, etc. And take in, of course, Radio City Music Hall, and where Fox News and NBC and all their locations are. It is just, and go to Times Square and just stand in the middle of Times Square, because every time you see a shot of that, you'll say, I stood right there on that street corner.
Oh, that was the very first place that these kids wanted to go, and we took a group out there and had them stand out there and see the characters that are out and get a real vibe of this city. It is something else.
And then have you gone up to the top of the Empire State Building?
Yes, and I hugged the core. I hugged the inside. The kids were all along the outside, wanting the big shots. And as someone who is afraid of heights, I was feeling good about what I did. But yeah, it's amazing.
I am like you. I got clear to the very top, and then I thought where that little gift shop is on top, I think I'll stay here.
Yeah, I kind of went out to say that, yep, I was out here, and now I'm going to go down to the bottom.
Debbie, I really appreciate everything that you do on behalf of being the communications officer for Cassia County Schools. God bless you. Have a wonderful trip. And you know what? When you get home, tell us about it. Kind of give us a synopsis, would you?
Oh, I would love to. I mean, where we have been and what we've been able to. We were in Philadelphia yesterday, Independence Hall, Liberty Bell. Just, anyway, you can't, like I say, you can't walk away from something like this and just not have this great sense of pride and love for our country.
All right. Debbie Critchfield, thank you. I enjoyed it this morning. Excellent job. Thank you, and have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. You got to get back there. You got to take in the East Coast and really the birthplace of this United States of America. You got to see those things. You got to take part in them. And I'll tell you what we did on a trip back there one time when I was announcing an event for the Olympics back in New Jersey, the pre-Olympic qualifications. We took a tour of New Jersey and New York and Connecticut and Pennsylvania and everything. And and I know you're going to think this sounds a little gruesome and odd, but one of the things we did was we stopped at various cemeteries, various old cemeteries, and found some that were from the Revolutionary War and read a lot of the inscriptions on the headstones and everything. Oh my goodness, all the history of America is right there. Wow, that was exciting. Let's see, we got to pay some bills here, and what we want to tell you about is the Goodie Shop. 133 West Main Street in Burley. My goodness, they've got all your Easter baskets made up, or they can create one made up just for you. And they can create a man's basket with jerky and fruit and peanuts and brownies, or the kids' baskets. They've got all the baskets, and they can deliver them all through the Mini-Cash area. And don't forget now to order your Easter baskets from the Goodie Shop. And they've also got delicious sandwiches and salads. The Goodie Shop, 133 West Main in Burley, and the number 647-0106. Okay, we got that taken care of. And let's see, we're about ready to get our lovely guest on the phone in just a moment. Hello to the lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. How are you?
She's not on yet, sir.
Well, she can be if you'll call her, okay? We got about a minute to go, and then get her on, if you would, please, Wheels. I appreciate it. She's not on yet, sir. Well, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm sorry. Well, let's just get her on the air, and we'll have her ready to go. Don't forget, too, along with what I was telling you about a moment ago, I want to brag a little bit again about Streamline Precision. You know by now who I'm talking about. Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods, and they can build what you need built on your property to help enhance your business. I mean, whether it's grain bins for on-the-farm storage, don't forget they're authorized dealers in Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings, or whether it's concrete work for mangers and feed alleys or trenching for pipelines. I'll tell you how good these guys are. I mean, they're good. They're currently building the new Funk Dairy here south of Murtaugh. They can build anything. That's right, Streamline Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. You call Tim Vaughn today. Tim's a good old boy. He's underneath that good old boy headline, 431-7314. 431-7314 for estimates. Or you can go online at streamlineprecision.com. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The professionals building for you. Let's try that number again, and let's see if we have her on the phone right now. The lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. Hello, Vicky. Are you there?
she's still not answering yet.
This is not a good day. Deanne, would you try to get a hold of her? I would appreciate that. Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens, and you keep trying, Wheels. You keep trying. Don't let that go. We got to get her on the air here. Let's see, what else have I got to tell you about here? Coming up at 10:32 this morning, padding time. Don't forget, Rich Noyes is going to be on the program with the Media Research Center, and we're going to be talking about this case with Bo Bergdahl and the charges that the Army is going to file against him as far as desertion and possibly the alleged traitor attitude that he displayed towards the United States. So we're going to have all that coming up at 10:30 this morning. A quick reminder to call up to the State House and tell them at 332-1000 that you support Bill S1155. That is a bill that will allow the United States flag to be flown at half-staff on the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument over in Rupert, and it's a tribute to all our fallen soldiers from Idaho. And call them at 332-1000 and tell them, yes, you support the flag at half-staff. Wheels is saying it's a call to the gate, and the lovely Miss Vicky is on the phone. Hello, Miss Vicky of Vicky's Country Gardens. How are you?
I'm just fine, Zeb. How are you doing this fine spring morning?
No, I was just getting a little nervous that maybe we weren't going to find you, but we did. All that is lost is now found.
I'm always around. Sometimes I'm just a little late answering the phone.
Okay. Hey, we're going to start you on the program next week.
That's what I understand. We're going to be starting our gardening show next week and getting everybody ready for another neat summer of gardening.
I got to ask you this, and I know I've heard a lot of people voice concerns about this, Vicki. Holy cow, with all that warm weather and all that sunshine that we had up till this last couple of days, the trees were budding out, the flowers were budding out, the grass was turning green. What's going to happen when all of a sudden, if we get a real cold snap?
Well, it's not the easiest thing on them. Hopefully, a lot of the trees haven't completely bloomed out yet, so we can get through the process. If they were in bloom the last couple of nights, we may lose some fruit this year because of the early spring, because of all of the warm weather. It is way too early for these trees to be leafing out and that kind of thing, but there's not a lot we can do about it, unfortunately. But hopefully this cold snap will slow them down now, and the ones that haven't leafed out and budded out will go ahead and hold on until it gets a little more conducive to the time frame they should be doing their thing. But we always run this risk in the spring here with our fruit trees freezing and things like that. I don't see it hurting anything like roses or anything because I don't think it's going to get that cold that it's going to damage any roses or anything like that. Hopefully it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But everything else, I think, everything else will handle it fine. I don't think we're going to have weather that's going to get as bad, real bad on that. Main worry right now is the fruit trees and our fruit year is the big worry.
All right. Now, Vicki, I've got to ask you this. Is this the time, I'm assuming it would be, for people that maybe are first-time gardeners or maybe they're anxious to get things all worked up and get everything planted? Should they be maybe taking some courses or calling you or maybe going out and finding what they're going to plant, how they're going to plant it, how much space they've got for a garden? I mean, there's a lot of preparation, isn't there?
Well, there is, and you kind of got to figure out, and it's like I've always said every year, if this is your first garden, don't get carried away and make it so big that it becomes a miserable job for you and you end up having a bad experience. Keep the garden maybe a little smaller on your first go-round, unless you've got some experienced help to help you through it. And, because weeding is a problem with gardens, and you get yourself into this great big garden, pretty soon you're living in that garden, you can't do anything else, and it becomes a major job, and you start to hate it.
Okay, now.
So I recommend a smaller, if you're first time, figure out the basic things that you really want to grow, the things that your family really likes, and that type of thing, and start kind of small, and then next year kind of get your feet on the ground, and then you can kind of increase as you go. But just be a little careful if you've got mom and dad or grandma and grandpa that are willing to be there to show you what to do and help you decide what you're doing and keep you on track, then you're a little, you can get a little braver and have a bigger garden. But just remember, they are a lot of work and depend on how much time you want to have free for the summer, how big your garden is.
Okay, now I've got about less than a minute left, and I want to tell everybody Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 west of Paul, and the lovely Miss Vicky. And what's the best number for them to call you and get information on their garden? What's the best number?
Well, our number here at the store is 438-5663, and during the daytime, that's probably the best. They'll get a message to me. My cell phone is on that answering machine also. If it's something you really need, call my cell phone, and I answer. Sometimes not the first go around, but don't give up on me, as you know.
I love this lady. Listen, we'll be talking to you full-time, real-time next week. Vicky's Country Garden with the lovely Miss Vicky. Hey, Vicky, thanks so much for being on the show. God bless, and have a good weekend.
All righty, Zeb, and we'll talk at you next week.
All right, thank you much. I love that lady. She is something special. Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 west of Paul, 438-5663. We're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studio. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, and we're going to get our guest on the air just momentarily. Don't forget about the bookstore and office supply at 515 5th Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. Becky and the rest of the gals over there, they've got everything over there for Easter gift giving, and they've got 20% off on the clothing and 45% off on the books, and they've got that delicious fudge. Oh, all the different flavors of fudge, just right for the Easter baskets, and peanut brittle, too. Holy smokes, it sounds delicious. The bookstore and office supply, 515 5th Street in Rupert. You stop over and see them today. Let's go to the phone lines right now and say a good morning to Mr. Rich Noyes. How are you, Rich? Good to have you on the program.
Well, it's good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, not too bad, except that, boy, this has been an extremely busy news day on my program, not only talking about the horrific plane crash from Spain to Germany, but also with some of the latest events happening with the Bo Bergdahl case, which, of course, are very pertinent for the citizens of Idaho because he was born and raised just about 70 miles away from where my studio is. A lot of things that we knew and tried to understand and comprehend almost a couple of years ago about Bo Bergdahl is that, simply put, all the glitters is not gold. And there were a lot of charges about that he had deserted his post. There were a lot of charges that maybe even being a traitor against his country. Bring us up to speed on how this case is being handled in the news. Would you please, Rich?
Well, the latest, of course, is that he's now being formally charged with desertion, which is what people were, talking about, even while he was still in captivity. There was a Rolling Stone article that really sort of detailed all the charges against him. When he was released, of course, last year, the media sort of picked up as quickly as they could the Obama White House line. This was a great thing, humanitarian, no negativity whatsoever. You had about 18 minutes of coverage, just a few seconds devoted to the questions about his conduct. You had Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, going on ABC to say that Mr. Bergdahl, or Sergeant Bergdahl, served with honor and distinction, something that a lot of his fellow soldiers disagreed with. You had people on MSNBC saying, the other soldiers, making their points were engaged in swift boating, to sort of go back to, something that the liberal media tried to make a dirty word in the 2004 campaign. Now we have, the Army coming out and agreeing with the desertion charge, and they're going to prosecute him on that, or I guess get a plea deal if they don't want to go to trial. Mm-hmm. He'll have a defense for that. He'll be able to argue his side. But you had the media talking about that this morning, And no flashback to what Susan Rice said, no flashback to the talk coming out of the Obama administration that this was a wonderful move and good for America. No talk about the 5 Taliban leaders, not just soldiers, but leaders who were released instead, and how at least one of them seems to have gone back to the fight since then. That was news in January. No talk about how this was negotiated potentially illegally, according to a GAO report last summer. Just sort of the bare bones coverage, and I suspect they'll move on as quickly as they can until there's actually a trial and something else that they have to cover.
Rich, you've been playing this game for quite some time, and you've got your uniform dirty covering all these stories. I'm just going to say this, and I want you to respond to it. Doesn't a story like this, with a lot of gray areas from the get-go about Bo Bergdahl and whether or not he was a good or a bad soldier, wouldn't you think the Obama administration would have gone more in-depth and looked at some of the facts before they got egg on their face and before they let Susan Rice out of her cage to go say something stupid? I mean, this whole thing just reeks of amateurism. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I do agree, and I think that would be something you'd expect the media, the Washington-based media, to really be sinking their teeth into. Back then in May and June of last year when this was in the news, and now today. I mean, there was talk, I think 2 or 3 months ago, that this was going to be desertion charges, but it seemed to be delayed for some reason. I would note that since then we've gotten a new Secretary of Defense, and things seem to be coming loose from the system. But under Chuck Hagel, these charges did not go forward. Under the new Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, they are going forward. I think whatever you want to say about Sergeant Bergdahl's conduct, that's not really. I mean, that's an important issue and something that the news media ought to cover. But the administration racing out there with all this talk seemed like they didn't know what was going on. Them criticizing, you had this, I think it was a State Department spokesman, criticizing the fellow soldiers who came out and tried to put sort of some context onto this. That's something that does seem like amateur hour. It does seem like this is being used for an amateurish propaganda point on behalf of the Obama administration, and that's something the media should traditionally resist, not embrace and put forward themselves. But we're in a whole different era now where the media, at least the big national media, do see themselves or act. I don't know how they see themselves. They're acting as if they're press secretaries for the Obama White House, and only the good news is worth reporting.
Rich, do you see a bigger story developing around the Bergdahl story because of the release of 5 really bad guys from Guantanamo Bay, and this story might start to really show that Obama used those 5 really bad guys as nothing more than a political move to shut down Guantanamo Bay? Do you see a bigger story developing here?
I do, and particularly if those, any one of those guys, let alone all 5, gets back into the fight. Now, there was already talk that one was doing that. Well, the restrictions on these 5 were essentially for 1 year. 1 year is up May 31st, June 1st, and then there's no restrictions, even according to this deal, on what they can do. There's some questions about whether or not this was designed to sort of make the Taliban more likely to have some kind of a political deal in Afghanistan. Well, you had the president of Afghanistan here this week, basically, trying to make the case that we need American troops to stay, trying to have a harder line on this. Everything you've seen from this president is that he wants to get out of these wars as fast as he can, and he doesn't care what the consequences are. Well, that sends the wrong signal. With Iran, it seems like he's doing everything he can to sort of make a deal there instead of having a hard line and pursuing American interests. So it's there's lots of these questions across the entire Obama foreign policy. The other thing about the Bergdahl case that resonates in other issues is he did it without consulting Congress, without dealing with Congress. Right. That's the way he handles so many problems. And you don't have a news media yet that's holding him accountable for these things. They just seem to be shrugging their shoulders and basically letting one day of news cycle out there that there's criticism and then moving on. So for the president, there's no consequences, but that's partly because you've got a media that's covering for him like a Praetorian Guard.
Would you say, Rich, in general, I know there's going to be exceptions, but in general, the news media in this country is AWOL from really getting into stories and staying with stories until we see some finalization? In other words, just off the top of my head, I'm sitting here thinking about Benghazi. I'm sitting here thinking about the IRS. I'm thinking about the VA scandal. I'm thinking about the Hillary server scandal. I'm thinking about Nidal Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter. I mean, the news media, in my opinion, tell me I'm wrong, has just literally dropped the ball on the 10-yard line instead of going over the goal line.
Well, on all those issues, I would say that they have. But, think back to the last administration. You had the sort of the Valerie Plame case. That was, they went after that and beat it day after day after day. Go back to other scandals involving Republican administrations, and they get hammered to the point of absurdity. I think you've got different stages. Look at the Chris Christie case not that long ago, where they went in, heavy and hard for day after day after day, dealing with that story. I think you see a different standard depending on whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, and depending on the stature of the person they're going after. You'd think that they would have their harshest coverage or their most critical coverage of the sitting president. It doesn't seem to be the case with this president.
Yeah. Wouldn't you, as a journalist and a person that looks at journalism and studies it and critiques it, wouldn't you feel a lot better if this administration and the news media really started asking more questions about Dr. Levinson and Pastor Abedini that are being held captive in Iran as to why on their negotiations with Iran, first and foremost, they can't slam their fist down on the table and say, let those two go and then we'll talk?
Well, they should ask those questions. They should bring these things up. I fear the answer, of course, is if getting those people out was a priority, they'd be raising the issue all over again a day after day. But instead, they don't bring the issue up because they don't want to do anything to sabotage these negotiations, because a deal is more important than a good deal. It's the reverse of what the president promised. But I think that seems to be the direction that at least the tea leaves seem to be pointing in.
Do you think overall that our news media needs a big broom and a dust mop and a garbage can to kind of clean things up and start all over again? I'm just to the point where I don't know who to trust and I don't know who to listen to because I don't feel like I'm being told the truth.
Well, I think a lot of people share that. Over time, I do think the market works, the free market works. You've seen Fox News go from nowhere to become the leader on cable news in just 5 years. You've seen people sort of melt away from watching ABC, CBS, and NBC over the years. I mean, there's still a big game in town. They still have a lot of influence. I think they're trying to exert that influence more than ever, but, they've got fewer people as a percentage of the country watching than ever before. So I think it's a matter of time before they become sort of a boutique media that serves liberal audiences like NPR, but doesn't really have much reach beyond that. But it's going to take a long time, and we need to put up some real alternatives to fill the void. Talk radio does a great job. Fox does a great job. The internet gives you more choice than ever before, but you got to sort of reach the much more casual person watching the news. Maybe it's a dinner hour who doesn't want to put all that effort in. There's got to be something for them to get something that's not just the same old ABC, CBS, NBC nonsense.
All right. Rich Noyes, I appreciate you coming on the program this morning. Thank you very much for your insight, and I'll look forward to having you back in the future. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting insight from Rich Noyes regarding Bo Bergdahl and other stories in the news to which the news media kind of gives a free pass to this administration, the Obama administration. And really, most of them don't ask the tough questions as to why, how much, when, and if. They just don't do the job. We're going to have the weather forecast. And the weather forecast this hour is being brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Oh, my. I get a chance to talk about Scarrows Meats. They have right now what's called the tax return meat package for only $300. Listen to this. You get beef, you get patties, you get rump roast, you get New York steaks, you get pork chops, you get bacon and brats, and you get chicken, and you get cheese. Oh my, it's delicious. It's the tax return meat package. They sell taste one bite at a time at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. Scarrows Meats. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers for Zeb at the Ranch. Nice weekend. There you have it. If you really would like for me to kind of get into this thing, after doing the weather for 30 years, where am I going with this? Or as David Letterman said when he was a weather guy, there's only so many ways that you can explain a cold front. There's only so many ways that you can explain sunny weather and nice. And then you get a few clouds. And it's going to start to warm up here as you go from today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So there are only so many ways to describe a nice weekend. So as I'm going to say, because all those weather people that you watch on TV are going to take 3 minutes to tell you what I'm going to tell you in 2 seconds, which is nice weather. Yeah. High today, 57. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the weekend. It's the only weather you got.
No, Michael, thank you very much. Michael Rogers weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Yes, sirree, it's true. They sell taste one bite at a time. You check out that tax return meat package for only $300. I mean, man, it's a great, great deal. And don't forget they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Scarrows Meats. They sell taste one bite at a time. I've got a little time right now to where you can give me a call, and we'd love to visit about anything that comes to mind. Give us a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a jingle, and we'll kind of cruise into the weekend. One thing I wanted to say is I just received a press notice a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, from Governor Otter's office, and next week on, what day is that going to be? I got to check my calendar here. Next week on Tuesday, I believe it is, the governor is going to host Capitol for a Day over at Hayburn. That's going to be at Hayburn next Tuesday. So the governor is going to be down here, and I understand they're going to have Lieutenant Governor Brad Little and the State Department of Agriculture Director Celia Gould, Water Resources Director Gary Spackman, and many, many others, as they will have Capitol for a Day next Tuesday, March 31st, scheduled from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Hayburn. I think it's going to be at the Minidoka County Fire Protection District office in Hayburn, so don't miss that. And they're going to have a lunch right there, and they're going to be visiting and answering a lot of people's questions, so stop over and say hello to the governor next week on Tuesday, March 31st in Hayburn. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. I would love to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Now listen, convenient credit for tires and services, revolving credit plans, 90 days same as cash, equal payment plans. Let me try that again. Equal payment plans. There they go. They've got the credit services there for you. And check out all the great tires on sale, like the Ultra Z900 passenger car tire, all-season design, up to 80,000-mile warranty, depending on the size. Woo! That's a dandy tire. And all their other tires that are on sale, too, along with the best in brake service, the best in front-end alignments and shocks and struts. Oh, my goodness, you're going to absolutely be treated like a king and a queen right there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. As you may or may not know, we have a new young man that is running the board. He's my engineer over at the main studios. And I hope he turns his microphone on and kind of wheels up there to the mic. And Wheels, you are doing a really good job. Congratulations on week number 2. It went really well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you got to speak up just a little bit so we don't miss any of your golden-throated tones. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you like to do for hobbies on the weekend?
Well, I'm just, any other person, I guess, young person. I like to hang out with friends, go to the movies.
Okay.
Stuff like that. If I have some spare time, I don't know, just kind of simple stuff. I mean, I don't really got much, but
like to go fishing and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like we talked about at your lunch bunch last week.
Very good. And I want to compliment you for coming over to Lunch Bunch and introducing yourself to everybody. That was really nice. Now that had you been in the radio business before at all, before you came onto this program?
Actually, not really. I just board op to the Minico basketball and football games. Mm-hmm. And so this is actually my first time doing the talk radio and doing the board opping for it. So.
And fielding all the calls and making sure you don't miss any of the cues. You've done a really good job. I bet you the first couple of times on the job, you probably wanted to take those headsets and throw them right out the window.
I don't know if I'd go to that extreme, but it actually, no. I try to keep myself at a calm level, and, I'm getting a little bit calmer as time goes on, but, as I get better, it'll...
Well, you're doing a good job, and I know the people really enjoy talking to you. You're very friendly on the phone, so thank you for what you do. We do appreciate it. I'm going to have you play, if you can find it. I just am in really a patriotic mood today, and if you can find a real patriotic song to send us out of here, maybe we'll listen to that in just a moment. Next week on Monday, let's take a look. That'll be already the 30th. Holy buckets, it's hard to believe that this month has gone by so fast. Frosty Woldridge, Alliance Defending Freedom, and the legislative update. And then again, another reminder on Tuesday, Governor Otter coming to Heyburn for Capital for a Day, and we'll be telling you more about that. So all of these activities for next week. And we're going to be starting some new programming, too, some new different segments on this show next week, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody for their calls this week. We had a lot of really nice callers, a lot of great emails, and if you ever want to contact me after the program, you can call my cell phone at 312-2976, and we'll readily take your calls and your thoughts and suggestions, so thank you very much. Also, next week on Monday, we'll be right back here in the studio for more Zeb at the Ranch. Now, a couple of things I want to remind you. Right here on K-Bar, 1230 a.m., or you can go to the computer on the internet and zebbell.com and push on the audio button, and then there's also a video button to watch us. We've got cameras right here in the studio, and we certainly appreciate all your help. So give us a jingle or tune us in and watch us right here in the studio for Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were are the way things ought to be. You have a great weekend. See you next Monday.